Welcome to the Zweig Letter Podcasts, putting architectural, engineering, planning, and environmental consulting guru Mark Zweig and his team of expert straight talk in your ear. Mark has more than 30 years of experience helping AEP and environmental firms thrive, and these podcasts deliver his invaluable management, industry, client, and HR advice directly to you, free of charge. The Zweig Letter Podcasts let you develop professionally, wherever you are.
Hey everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Zweig Letter Podcast. Our goal is to bring you some of the best and brightest minds that the AEC industry has to offer. Today, I am here again with my sidekick and compatriot, Sanjay Jenkins. Sanjay is a member of the marketing team here at Zweig Group, and he has joined me for several other podcasts that we've done in the recent past, including our famous Life Hacker series. And today we are coming back with another Life Hacker topic. And I don't know about you or anyone listening to this, but I think it's appropriate to say that you end the way you begin. And in that respect, I think when you begin the day right, you can end the day right. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about, from a life hack process, what does your morning routine look like? We want to learn from engineers and architects out there what they are doing with their morning routine. Is there something specific that they do to get themselves going in the morning and to get their day started? Keeping in mind that most of the people that are listening to this podcast have a lot on their plate. You guys are making and designing and fixing, major buildings and roads and all kinds of critical infrastructure projects. And so be curious to know what you guys are doing to make your day go smoother and to just basically plan to have a really good day. And so we want to kind of get into some of the morning routines and rituals that we go through and some ways that you can kind of hack your morning and get the most of it. So Sanjay, why don't you say hi to the audience and why don't you tell us a little bit about your morning routine?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. Once again, Sanjay Jenkins, marketing and e-commerce specialist here at Zweig Group.
I always forget the e-commerce piece of it.
That's the back end side.
Exactly. No pun intended, folks. But yes, it is the back end side, but it's important. So
no, definitely, it's you don't hear about it if hopefully if everything's working, you don't know that I've done anything. But my morning routine, especially as of late, has been pretty frantic in that it's usually the alarm goes off, I hit the shower, get my clothes on. And, I'm in the car. Lately, I've been having to commute a lot from Joplin, Missouri, which is about an hour and a half north of Fayetteville, where we're based in, to drop my little brother off at school every day, just to help out my family. And as a result, things have been pretty off the routine. But normally what I'll do is I'll wake up, I'll take some time to read something, whether it's on my phone or if it's a book that I've been working on. And I'm kind of a serial procrastinator when it comes to actually reading, in that I start a book, I'll take a long time to actually finish the book, but I usually try to knock out a couple pages each morning, and I'll have a cup of coffee. It's this raspberry flavored coffee that I get from Walmart. It's like a K-cup. It's a Keurig situation.
Yeah.
Have to have that. That's like the only flavor I can really tolerate in the mornings. If it's not coffee, then I'll have a bit of tea. And then it's off to the races. Hit the shower, and then in the car at the office. That's really that's all I do. However, I've been researching a lot lately, trying to be a bit more purposeful in my morning routine, because as you said, it ends as it starts. And right now things have been so, all over the place that you don't really have any sort of there's not a whole lot of peace,
right,
that you can make with your day. And that carries over. That doesn't, just stop on that day and it just completely resets. You do sort of, whether it's like a rest issue, or maybe your mind is, your stress if it's like a physical rest versus like a mental rest, and just how much stress you're dealing with. Just doing some little things every morning can help you reduce, the stress, the anxiety, all the little things that sort of like keep you from performing the way you want to be performing.
Yeah. And, I mean, you being somebody that has just recently graduated from college.
Right.
And so you can certainly speak from one end of the spectrum as opposed to me that I've been out of school now almost, 25 years or so, give or take a few. But the bottom line is that, it doesn't matter how young or how old you are. The way you start your day is the way that you're going to end your day.
Correct.
And of course, we could beat that till the cows come home. But I know that there are some specific routines, and it sounds like you've got your own little method that works. And everybody's going to have their own method or routine that does work. Lately I've listened to some others talk about it. It seems to be the talk of all the podcasts lately when people ask, well, what's your morning routine like? And so you hear variations on it. And basically the system that I'm going to share with the audience, the listening audience, is one that I learned from reading a book called Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. It's actually a really, really great book. And that kind of got me on a path or gave me a foundation for waking up in the morning where I could kind of get my day started the best way that I know how. And so essentially in the book, The Miracle Morning, without really getting into all the different topics in it, Hal talks about ways for you to have a couple of key things that you do every morning in and morning out. They say you should get up every day at the same time, whether it's the weekday or the weekend. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because sometimes on Sunday morning I do like to sleep in, and I'm sure I can get an amen from a lot of people that are listening to this podcast. But when you have kids, or if you have other challenges that you're dealing with, getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning every morning it can be tough, but certainly a good night's sleep is the precursor to everything that we're discussing here. Without that, going to bed at 2 or 3 in the morning and getting right back up at 5 or 6 in the morning, you're really doing yourself and your body a disservice, as well as whatever organization that you're working for and whatever you're doing for people, because you're just not fully there. And so I think with the understanding that this comes with a good night's sleep precedes that. And so the Miracle Morning talks about a couple of things, that you wake up and, you have some time for prayer or meditation or whatever is important to you, just to kind of get some quiet space to be in. I mean, meditation has become a big thing now. There are apps out there like Calm and others where you can meditate for 5 to 10 minutes. And there is scientific studies that have shown the improved benefits of the mind with your focus and mental acuity when you take time in the morning to, basically meditate.
The military is using it.
Yeah.
They've got their soldiers, actually just about every level of the military, people are using meditation to be more effective.
Absolutely. So that's one thing. The other piece that the Miracle Morning Makeover talks about is journaling, kind of writing down and getting some of your thoughts out of your head and onto paper. And there's something about the tactile aspect of writing on paper as opposed to typing on a computer. I mean, you can type on a computer, you can type on your phone, but I think the idea here is that if you can, to avoid getting on your devices first thing in the morning, so that you can kind of let yourself fully get immersed in the start of the day and not be consumed by electronic devices. Although I do know some people personally, some people I care very deeply about right here in this office that would struggle without picking up their phone first thing in the morning. And I get it. I'm kind of one of those people too. I usually try to take a few minutes before I actually pick up my phone, and I don't keep it in the room that I sleep in. And that's kind of the topic of another conversation when it comes to life hacks for a good night's rest. But when it comes to getting up and when it comes to that morning routine, they say, obviously having some time for meditation or prayer, reflection, whatever you want to call it, a time for journaling or writing down some of your thoughts, a time for reading. to take in, really good information that is available to you. And sometimes, that time at 5:30 in the morning, maybe 6 o'clock before the rest of the house wakes up, that's like the best time to crack open a book. And so one thing that I know I do, and everything that I'm saying has come because I have become much more disciplined after reading The Miracle Morning. That I specifically try to read 15 to 20 pages every morning of some book. It doesn't matter, whatever. I don't care what it is. The Bible, it could be your favorite fiction book, your favorite nonfiction book. It doesn't matter. Maybe it could be a magazine for work. I don't know. But I mean, the bottom line is just being disciplined about reading every morning. Sometimes if you do that consistently, you'll find that you can knock books out very easily. And I was reading an article the other day. I mean, Warren Buffett reads about 500 pages a day.
Wow.
It's crazy when you think about it. He consumes that much. A lot of it is newspaper. A lot of it are financial reports. But when you think about that consumption, that level of consumption, I mean, here he is, one of the richest men in the world. There is a direct result. They say leaders are readers. So, that's one way to kind of find that time to read, is by sticking it in there first thing in the morning before the rest of the house wakes up. And then the fourth thing is exercise.
Yeah.
You've got to find some time for yourself.
You really do.
Yeah. And it's really important. And so that's the one thing that I definitely can say that I personally am disciplined about. And I'm not being braggadocious, but I certainly take time every morning unless I'm traveling. And even then, if I'm traveling, unfortunately, because sometimes I have to get up at really early hours to make my way either to Tulsa or to XNA, which is our local airport here in Northwest Arkansas. I sometimes have to get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning just to get my workout in before I go anywhere. And I just choose to do that because it's so much easier to work out the first thing in the morning than it is to work out later in the day. But again, this is not an indictment of how you work out. Everybody should just work out and find time for it. And then I heard a really interesting statistic or fact is that from a doctor, a neuroendocrinologist, who said that, when we work out, we don't exercise to lose weight. That's not the primary goal. We actually exercise to feel better about ourselves and to feel better in general. And so I thought that was quite interesting. And so really the only way is, according to this doctor, is that the only way to truly lose weight, is to eat right. And it's not so much about, going and working out and lifting and all that other stuff. Cause if anything, that puts muscle on you, and muscle is more dense than fat. Right. So you will theoretically could weigh more, working out more, but you got to eat right. It's that combination of the two. But the working out piece of it provides a certain sense of satisfaction in the brain that helps you go a long way. And I believe that if you can work out in the morning, it can go a long way with helping you to have a really solid day.
So, to go off of the workout idea, I've lately been consumed by this idea of improving upon myself, whether it's a specific skill, maybe it's just overall, 1% each week to get better.
Yeah. Incremental growth.
Right. And so, with the working out, one of the benefits about doing it in the day, in the morning, is that, it's done. And you have like a victory to celebrate. You have something to be grateful for. Like, oh man, I got my workout. And that like puts you in a good mood that you can carry forward throughout the day. And those small victories actually matter a lot, I think. I was reading something very recently about, if you really want to, just do something very small, that's very easy to do, but that will actually have a good benefit to your mind and how you, perceive your day, is making your bed. Right. Like literally the very first thing you do when you get up is just make your bed. And that's like a small victory. It's something, Tony Robbins talks about, having 3 things to be grateful for every morning when you wake up. That's part of his routine. Right. And, just make your bed. And that's something that I've been trying to do recently. I'm, 21-year-old boy. I don't always do that. Right. Well, when I don't make my bed, my mom, she'll remind me.
She'll remind you.
She'll call me even if she's not in the same city.
Have you made your bed?
Right. Yeah. But it's but it does help, and I tend to have better days on the days that I make my bed.
Yeah. Listen, I totally agree. Actually, one of our colleagues, Chad Coldiron, that's all he ever talks about is if that's like the first thing he does as soon as he wakes up is make his bed. And I know some people, I mean, most people do. Some people listening to this are probably saying, well, I do that. I'm sure everybody else does. The assumption, I don't know what percentage of people actually make their bed versus those that don't. But there is something to be said for it. And it is part of a way of preparing yourself for the day. It's kind of like they say as soon as that alarm goes off, don't hit the snooze button, get out of bed and get some cold water on your face and try to drink some water, because that, if nothing else, that will wake you up. There's also this idea of priming. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah. I have.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I heard, I mean, again, going back to the Tony Robbins thing, this is, priming, just the way I understand is like the cold shower. Is that
it can be a cold shower, which is what I do. But when he primes in a cold tank, and I don't know if you ever saw I Am Not Your Guru, which is on Netflix. It's amazing. But he basically goes out into his backyard. He has an 8-foot cylinder pool his backyard that's full of cold water, and I think it's set
57 degrees. I actually read that today.
Yeah, something pretty cold. But anyway, he jumps in that and plunges up and down.
Yeah.
And it basically, there's something about that cold hitting your body and the synapses and all that. I mean, it certainly helps out for us older guys as we get out there and work out, and women too. But that cold water, there's something about it that begs off inflammation, in your joints and extremities and things of that nature. So, I mean, there's some, I mean, a lot of people say, oh, that's all science or whatever. There's some legitimate truth to that. And it does work. I have personally started taking cold shower. That is my primary shower way of taking showers, is cold showers. And I got to tell you, it is, I don't like hot showers anymore. That's how long I've been taking cold showers, and I really enjoy it. And I remember when I was studying in Germany, I went to Germany and studied Gothic and Romanesque architecture of all things. And I remember going to a very small village in northern Germany, and I stayed at this really small bed and breakfast, and there were a bunch of older people that were in this sauna, and all they would do is every few minutes they'd go into the sauna, they'd get really warm, and then there was a plunge pool outside, and this was the middle of winter, and they would jump into that plunge pool, and it was freezing. And then it would just, I mean, if you could just imagine somebody just taking a block of ice and placing it on your back so that you couldn't get up. That's how cold it was. But it was invigorating at the same time. And so, obviously you weren't in there long enough to develop hypothermia or anything like that. But there's just something about it. And those cryo chambers, that's a big deal now. It's something I want to try. But, there's something to be said for just, getting some cold water on you in the morning first thing, can really have some long-term benefits for you. So
that's awesome. So we've got the priming down, we've got some basic morning rituals out of the way. What's next? What do you put in your body? What kind of food, what kind of beverages do you have first thing in the morning?
I think it's going to be different for different people, and I think I feel like you're kind of setting me up because of my bullet
I
coffee.
Do. That's exactly what.
My bulletproof coffee.
That was
routine.
A leading question.
So yeah, it was definitely a leading question. Anyway, I'm a big fan of bulletproof coffee, and bulletproof coffee is essentially take your best black cup of coffee. I usually make an espresso with Italian coffee, and then I mix it with about a pat of about a teaspoon's worth of grass-fed butter, and then I put that into a blender with MCT oil, and those are medium chain triglyceride oils. And you can find them in coconut, and there are a couple of other flavors that they serve them in. And Dave Asprey, the guy that founded Bulletproof Coffee, he's got some, single solution methods of creating bulletproof coffee for the everyday person. But this is what I do every morning. And I have this coffee and I take in these good fats. And the thing that I've found in drinking this coffee, it's about, 8 to 12 ounces. with the grass-fed butter, with the MCT oil, that it is an appetite suppressant, but it also gives me good fats that allows me to circulate. And I've had my blood tested and done all this, and I'm highly suggesting that anybody that wants to put butter in their coffee and MCT oil needs to do a blood test. And I'm putting all those disclaimers out there. So don't just say Randy said to do this and do that. I listen to a lot of different programs. I've learned a lot. But I follow Dave Asprey, who talks about, brain health. And one of his routines is this Bulletproof Coffee. And I kept hearing about it. I said, well, I've got to try it. So I've been doing it regularly now for about 7 or 8 months. I had a blood test before I started doing it just to kind of see what my baseline was, where I was. My blood had my cholesterol levels have actually gone down.
Oh, wow.
On grass-fed butter and MCT oil, which I basically take it 5 to 6 days a week. Mm-hmm. And I have it first thing in the morning. That gives me enough of that takes away my appetite too. So I usually don't have lunch until 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. But it is that kind of filling beverage, and there's no sugar or anything in it. And I just call it just thick creaminess. That's all it is. It's just coffee creaminess is the best way to describe it. You don't put any milk or anything in it, which, by the way, changes the makeup of coffee. Coffee is actually pretty good for you for the most part. I mean, everything in moderation, but the minute that you add any type of milk product to it, it changes the chemical makeup of the coffee. And so I don't put any milk or creamer in my coffee, but I swear by the Bulletproof coffee. And it's you can go online to Amazon. You can look up Dave Asprey, Asprey, and we'll put some links in the show notes to some of the stuff that he talks about. He's actually got a podcast too. And he's really on the extreme of it. I just do the Bulletproof Coffee because it works for me, and that's kind of my routine. But I also get in a nice, liter of water first thing in the morning to rehydrate, because you actually do dry out overnight while you're sleeping. So I certainly do rehydrate. And then that's pretty much about it. And I'm good until about noontime or later, especially with the Bulletproof Coffee.
So no breakfast.
No, very rarely do I eat breakfast.
Okay.
And it's not so much, this is just my routine. This is what I do.
Right.
And I'm not suggesting anybody do this, but I don't introduce a lot of sugars into my food until later in the day. And even then, I've actually cut back on the amount of fruit that I take in and all that. And I try to eat more green leafy vegetables, and that kind of helps out. But yeah, that's just kind of my MO. And every now and then I might have oatmeal, because I have 3 growing boys in the house and they eat oatmeal. And yes, on a Saturday morning, if the wife makes pancakes, I'm eating pancakes.
There you go.
I might have it with the Bulletproof Coffee, but I'm going to have some pancakes. Mm-hmm. And that's fine too. I'm not suggesting that people just totally go off the deep end, but I just think that these routines help out to kind of get you into a different mindset where, every morning when I wake up, there's a couple things I'm going to do. I'm either going to pray and meditate. I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit. I'm going to journal a little bit, get my thoughts down on paper. And then, I'm going to work out, and work out my body. And then, you kind of go from there. But it's just that getting into that routine of doing that, getting into the habit of doing that every day, day in and day out, really can go a long way in helping you be successful and overcoming any challenges that you might be facing.
Right. So there's some statistic, I don't know exactly what it is, like it takes 3 weeks or
21 days to develop a habit. Yeah.
Right. So what are some action steps? So like, I'll be a great test example. Like I'm pretty unrefined right now. I don't have too many solid morning rituals. What would be the path of least resistance to start doing these consistently? Because like the consistency part is the real key here. Mm-hmm. You can do it 2 days, you're not going to see the benefit.
Right.
It's that you got to have that X% improvement over a sustained period of time to actually see it. So what would be, since you've been doing it, you've been doing Bulletproof Coffee for 7 to 8 months, you've been exercising every morning for, however long. I know I see, just so you know, I see every time, by the time I wake up and I pull up Instagram in the morning,
right,
Randy has already gone on a run and posted about it.
And
like has done like an anchor recording, and he's
with my rise and grind post. I kind of get up in the morning and definitely do that just as a way of kind of getting the day started right. So I think it's just getting into the habit of doing that. And again, these habits, they start with the simple first step. Right. And I'm not suggesting something to somebody that's difficult to do. I just think you have to kind of make time for it. And I know in this industry, in the design space and construction space, people are constantly busy. I mean, we're burning the candle on both ends here, even at Zwei Group. And so I know what it's like for our clients, and I know what they go through. And, when you're working on a deadline, you've got projects going out, there is that one little space where if you can kind of give yourself that 1 hour in the morning to get yourself organized and just make it for you, even if you break it up into do those 4 things that we mentioned in 15-minute blocks, 15 minutes of, prayer or meditation, 15 minutes of reading, 15 minutes of journaling, and 15 minutes of exercise. You do that in a routine, it will make a difference in the long run. It will make a difference in your performance. It'll make a difference in your outlook, because you'll feel like, wow, I get more done. We've heard that saying before, in the military, in the Army, I think these guys get more things done before 9 a.m. than most people do in a day. And, you listen to some of these guys. There's Jocko Willink, I think it's Jocko Willink, who he's a ex-Navy SEAL, retired, and, he served his country well for many years, but one of the things he talks about is getting up at 4:45 every morning, morning in and morning out, 7 days a week. It's just because he said because by the time he gets to 7 or 8 o'clock, he's already done more than most people will do the whole day. And he's still got the whole day to have. When you think of it, you're like, man, that's right. It's true. It's just that getting over that mental block of getting up that early. Look, I have a hard time, and I get up at 5:15 every morning, and I have a hard time with that. It's not easy, but, God bless him, because that extra half hour means everything in the world, from 4:45 to 5:15. So I'll take it every day. I'm not Jocko, but I mean, he certainly, makes a case for how you get into that routine. It can make a difference for you. I really see that, in terms of a hack, the hack is simply getting into a routine that works well for you, whatever it is. Don't do Randy's routine. Don't do Sanjay's routine. Don't do Jocko's routine, or Tony Robbins for that matter. Do your routine. Do you, and do it the best way that you know how. And then, see the results. How do things go in the office? Are you more responsive when you're in meetings? Are you more focused? Are you able to carry yourself throughout the whole day and get as much work as you can get done? These are the things that you need to be looking at when it comes to during these morning routines and kind of getting things going. So, I think that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So that's it. Well, folks, we just wanted to kind of share this with you, this life hack, if you will, of a morning routine. And this was something that Sanjay and I have been playing around with, and we thought, man, this would be really interesting to talk about. And we hear it so much. At least I hear it when I listen to other podcasts, and it's always a topic of discussion with other successful people. And every successful person that I've listened to, Arianna Huffington, all of them have a morning routine. And I don't care what it is. I mean, yes, Zuckerberg gets up at 8. I get it. And he's famous for that. That's his routine. He does it every day, day in and day out. If you're not Mark Zuckerberg, then, do whatever works for you, whether it's 8 o'clock in the morning or 5:15 or 4:45 or whatever. I know people that get up even earlier than that, but the bottom line is have a routine. But if you can, like Hal Elrod talks about in the Miracle Morning Makeover, kind of fit in some of those key ingredients, the reading, the journaling, the exercise, and the prayer and or meditation, you can kind of take some time for yourself and deposit back into yourself things that are constantly being leaked out on a daily basis. Because we all struggle with this. Every one of us, every person walking the face of this earth struggles with that. And so it's the one way for you to give yourself something back that will help you be the best version of yourself that you can be.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, that's all we have for now. I really want to thank you guys, and I want to encourage you today to get a free subscription of Civil plus Structural Engineer magazine And to sweeten the pot, we are throwing in a couple of issues of the Zweig Letter too. We've got this whole new Zweig Letter subscription program that's coming out really soon, where you'll be able to basically get a digital copy of the Zweig Letter for everybody in your office.
That's mega.
I know it's huge. If I've got 100 people working for me, I can get a copy for everyone and I won't go broke doing it. So there's a lot of information about that on the website at zweiggroup.com, but check that out. You can visit freetzl.zweiggroup.com and leave us your email address. We'll take care of the rest. Everything will be delivered to you electronically. In addition, if your firm is looking to hire great talent, please join our mailing list for AEC Workforce. Just text the word "hire faster" to 66866, and that will get you on the list where you will learn more about this upcoming job board for the design and construction industry. As a reminder, all Zweig Group media programs like this one are available in both podcast and video format, free for download on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and even in some cases YouTube, just to name a few places. A link to all of this information, including contact information for Sanjay and myself, will be in our show notes. And we'd love it if you'd go to iTunes or wherever you tune into this show and give us a 5-star rating and share this link with a friend. Remember, sharing is caring. Sanjay, I don't know about you, but I've been having a lot of fun with these Life Hacker series. So we're going to come back and we're going to do some more.
We have to.
Yeah. So if our listening audience has anything specific that they'd like to hear us talk about on the podcast, please share. This podcast isn't exclusively about how design firms become better. It is part of it, but part of the design firm are the designers, are the people, the actual people behind the scenes, behind the curtain, if you will. And so we also want to focus on you, the individual, as opposed to just you, the company. So we're going to do it all. But if you have a topic that you'd like us to talk about or discover, please shoot us an email. Let us know your thoughts. Give us some feedback on this particular podcast. And, we'd love to hear from you. We're going to be doing some new things in the future. There's some future announcements coming up that I think you guys will be excited about, but I certainly want to encourage you. So I'm Randy Wilburn.
I'm Sanjay Jenkins.
And you've been listening to Zweig Group Media, part of Zweig Group. Remember, we exist to make you more successful. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to this Zweig Letter podcast. We hope that you can apply Mark's no-holds-barred advice to your daily professional life. For a free transcript of this or any episode of our podcast, please visit info.zweiggroup.com/podcast. If you want more wisdom and inspiration, in addition to information about finance, HR, and marketing your firm, subscribe to the print or digital version of the Zweig Letter online at zweiggroup.com/publications.